What up, everybody? It's Andy from Tap FinTech. Thanks for joining. If this is your first time joining one of our streams or one of our pre-recorded sessions, we are traders using our proprietary algorithm known as THOR through taptrade.io. We maintain a 70% win rate as a cumulative total for our trading signals. And what our goal is to help people learn it through educational resources and a community that's also using the same tools we are. First things first, I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. This is simply me using a tool that I have learned to use over the last 3 years and that we would like to encourage other people to use and help them learn how to use it too. So if you're just getting started, you can visit taptrade.io if you want to find any of our available live data. If you'd like to join our community, there's links to our Discord and our Telegram, both on TapTrade as well. And that's where we will see you, hopefully. So we're going to switch it up a little bit today. I have primarily been using our tiered system to access THOR and our trading signals. And today we're going to take a different approach, and I'm only going to talk stocks. If you don't know, THOR trades everything. It trades Forex, it trades stocks, it trades cryptocurrencies, and it even provides signals on SPL meme coins that live on Solana. The same cumulative 70% win ratio remains pretty vigilant across each one of those different trading markets. And it is simply using the strategy that, I personally use to navigate the markets. That's the only way I know how to teach. That's what we really largely focus on. And for us, it's really big macro trading. And even more so now that we're talking stocks. If and when we talk the differences between stocks and crypto, y'all know that there's obviously a large amount of differences. One, the market's closed. Two, volatility is a lot less, generally speaking. The trading ranges for your take profits can be a little bit less. There's a lot more liquidity and a lot more volume and just a lot more activity going on. THOR trades all of it just as well, regardless of if it's crypto or stocks. But as a trader, you need to be sort of open-minded to the fact that it's a little bit more boring, relatively speaking, if you're used to trading crypto. So all good, though. It doesn't matter, because what we've been pitching here is that this tool helps you trade anything, and that you can use this same fundamental strategy to work through stocks like you would the same that we've been doing for Bitcoin and Ethereum. So if you're joining us and watching the streams, all we've done is gone to taptrade.io. We've clicked THOR in the upper right-hand corner, and then we've clicked on the Ask THOR button, which gave us the login to our Ask THOR system. This is where you can request signals via a pay-per-request system, and where you can buy packages too. If you end up liking the signals, you can go ahead and buy a couple of packages, and we do have some incentives to do so. Skipping right into the juicy tidbits that are fun to talk about trading. I've requested 2 signals already going into this. All I did was I got the NASDAQ ticker, I clicked it in, I selected to pay for it via our cryptocurrency tap to get a 10% discount, and then I clicked Ask THOR. I signed a wallet transaction, and I waited for my signals to generate. You can see down here, boom, that's where it popped up, my most recent Ask THOR. And we have 3 signals that have popped up. Just in the spirit of being sort of a fun transition into stocks, we have chosen MicroStrategy as our first stock ticker that we're going to talk about. If you're familiar with MicroStrategy, or Strategy at this point, it is a crypto-based investment company run by Michael Saylor, who is a Bitcoin maxi. And so it's just a fun transition into the stock world without having to go too far away from at least where we've started out as our comfort zone. Once you've made a request in Ask THOR, you have a drop-down menu right here to go and choose through your available assets. For me, I have access to all of these assets, and you can see down here that MicroStrategy is one of my available assets. I've selected MicroStrategy. The next thing I'm going to do is look to find where the signals live. To do that, you simply click over here on this time frame drop-down menu, and any time frame that has an asterisk next to it is where the signals are. If you know me, I'm generally a big one-day sort of trader. For stocks especially, these are going to be really high levels of support or resistance. They're going to be impactful signals, I think is the best way to say it. I take them very seriously, as I do with all THOR one-day signals. Right now, MicroStrategy. This isn't purely up-to-date information. There's a small delay in the data feed that you'll see on the Ask THOR interface, but within a few relative minutes. And you can always go and find up-to-date live information if you'd like, NASDAQ.com or wherever you get your NASDAQ information. So we're around 3:30-ish right now. At the time of this recording, it's 12:20 Eastern Standard Time on Wednesday, the 26th. There's a crypto, Bitcoin sitting at 86, Ethereum holding at 2,000, and MicroStrategy at 328. Now that I know at least where I'm starting, I can go through and I can interpret the THOR signals that I have at hand to make some financial choices for myself. I'm a big macro trader. I like longer swings. I like a bit more buffer. I also like 20% returns. I personally don't take small trading deltas, and if that's something you're into, you can use THOR to do so. For me, it's just not my personal preference. I'm fairly busy, so I don't do a lot of active day trading like often. But if and when you do, 1 hour and 15-minute signals are a great place to start if you're looking to get some of that more active portfolio management and active trading. Let's look at the MicroStrategy 1 hour signals that we have available. Right now, as it stands, we have one long with a 3 to 4.85% trading range for MicroStrategy. That's a trade worth considering. We're relatively close to that entry point. We have another $10 drawdown, which is, a large drawdown for a stock. But you now know if you're looking to invest in MicroStrategy, or if you want to take a profitable stock trade with a probability being on your side of 70% on average, historically speaking, this is a really good entry point for you to pick up a small or create or make whatever preferential trade you have, preferential trading style. It's a great time to buy some spot, or you could open up a perpetual long if you do have access to derivatives platforms. It can be as simple as that. Some of y'all who are joining us for the first time, or even in the Discord, you'll notice right off the bat that there is a huge amount of variation and even just the amount of signals available on stocks. It's not always the case, but I will say that with the volatility with our crypto signals, it can lead to a large amount of signals being produced. And how you navigate that and how you can interpret that, we've talked about in other classes. We've talked about that in other videos. I really encourage you to look at it. For stocks specifically, it's a good way to eliminate a lot of what that overwhelming noise can be. You have a trade-off now where you're looking at a 3 to 5% trade, and that's a really good range on a stock. That is a great day trade on a stock. If you can make 3% and you're trading with either a small, relatively responsible amount of leverage, or if you have the dry powder to be able to be happy with the 3% gain, which I would encourage anyone to be, this is a great entry point and exit point. When looking at a THOR signal, there's a couple things to be aware of. We've talked about it in other classes, and we've talked about it on this channel before, but this invalidation level and the entry level are just as important when looking at stocks as anything else. We know where our resistance is. We're within $20-ish, $18-ish right now of that resistance. What can we expect right now as it stands? We have a short and we have a long on two different time frames. We have two shorts. Wow, look at that. Is that an all-time high for MicroStrategy? Nope, but damn near. And look at that big old fair value gap right there. Or just gigapump. So again, you don't have to really know a lot about what's going on. If you're just looking at the THOR signals strictly and you're looking to learn how to trade MicroStrategy, you got a couple things in play here. A good entry point for a quick return at 3% is on the table on a 1 hour signal. Buying at 318 and selling at 328 is a great return for a singular trade. And scaling out, taking advantage of higher take profit levels is also on the table. I would personally buy this right here. I like MicroStrategy. I like what's going on. I think, overall it's something that I'm down to invest a small amount in terms of my stock portfolio. Me personally, I'd rather hold actual native Bitcoin opposed to it being like a play on it. But let's just take the other side of this. Let's assume that you invested in MicroStrategy a long time ago. You already own some stock, or you bought it recently and you want to know what to do with it. Maybe you bought it on this big gigapump that happened at Bitcoin all-time highs. And my internet is being fun. So maybe right up here, you bought it at 530. And now you're wondering, dude, do I sell? Do I hold out right here? Do I wait? What do I do? You now have 1-day signals to help you sort of navigate whatever your decision wants to be. Now, for MicroStrategy, there are 2 heavy points of resistance that I see right here at 478 and obviously up here at 511. If I owned MicroStrategy and if I were in a place of already being in profit, having bought any time other than this gigapump, I would 100% take some profits off the table at these 2 intervals right here. Why? Well, for one, you look at a 20% return or potential drawdown from these prices. So if you bought anywhere at or around here and you want to take some chips off the table, maybe you're just at break even and you're ready to be out of MicroStrategy. Look, you can now make a plan around these 2 signals, and that's all you have to do. Find where you want to sell and take your profit and take your profit. Now, if you want to say, dude, I want more MicroStrategy stock, that I just want to compound my gains. The same theory can apply to selling or taking some profit on your, existing holdings and then averaging back into your position at the take profit levels. Nothing changes. Regardless of what you're trading, THOR and the interpretation and the execution of THOR signals and the strategy in which you use it is all the same. It all is situationally dependent on your own personal circumstances. And for you, this just gives you your guiding rails. This gives you your potentials. This gives you mathematically probable exit points and take profit levels associated with those same signals. Does anyone in class, and we can cut this out of the section, does anyone in this class own MicroStrategy and want to talk about their own personal situation or plan?
Personally, I don't own any. Hi guys, by the way. Hi Andy.
Hey.
I don't own any, but I do want to get more into the stock trading in general. So I'm down to just be going through the motions of this. The stocks to me is a little foreign compared to crypto.
Cool. It's a lot less headache, you'll find, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. Gator.
Andrew,
Hey, Gator.
if you're just looking for an example, I got into MicroStrategy at 384.
Right
so
on.
Somewhere between.
Thank you. Do you still have conviction in MicroStrategy? Do you want to hold on to your $384 MicroStrategy? Or what are you sentimentally or personally looking for at this time?
What I'm personally looking for is a vehicle to leverage Bitcoin investment. I can buy a little bit, they buy a lot, and they use a lot of leverage. And so I think it's a long-term hold.
Cool. So they also just posted $384 million gains, I think, for, what was it, 30 days or something like that? So not bad. Okay. It was something insane. So, all right, let's just take that as our starting point. We bought at 384. We view it as a long-term hold, and we want likely to average in and take profit responsibly. We're going to keep things clean and just say we got $1,000 in MicroStrategy. Let's say we have $1,000 in MicroStrategy and we have an available, $10,000 of dry powder. The numbers and ratios don't have to be like perfect or whatever, but just at least for a starting point. So we have 10% of our portfolio, essentially invested in MicroStrategy. We view this as one of our large stock portfolio, contributors to our overall portfolio. We want to buy more, most likely, or we want to make more. We have 2 opportunities to do so on the table right now. One, You can see on a 1 hour time frame right now, meaning more active management, it doesn't matter though, because it's still giving you a mathematically precise entry point. I've said I largely trade 1 day and 4 hour time frames until I get to an asset that I'm actively wanting more of and actively trading, or even looking to find entry points. If there were something on the 4 hour or 1 day, hell yeah, that would be our first consideration. But since there's not, you can look at a 1 hour and you can say to yourself, this is a good place to DCA into my position. Since we have a $384 average entry point right now, I would set a small buy at that range, $319 to $318. That to me is a clean trade, makes sense. Now, in terms of like the entirety of the information we have at hand, let's look at the other possibilities. We go back to our 1 day time frame and we look and reference our shorts. Why? This is where we would sell. Obviously, we're going to take some profit here, but we're going to start by looking at the invalidation level. As we do with every other signal, we're on the 1 day most macro zoomed out time frame at 384. Hell yeah, we're taking some profit right here. We're taking some more profit right here. You bet your ass we are. And then since we want more micro strategy, we're going to compound back the amount of money we took off of the table for like a 3 to 7% sell of our asset right here. And we're going to average it back in, probably like 60, 40, 10. 60% of the cash that I sold, 60% of the micro strategy cash that I have now, 40%, or excuse me, 60, 30, 10. Meaning, let's say I sold $100 of the $1,000 of micro strategy that I had. I'm going to take that $100 that I actualized and I'm going to break up my entries back into MicroStrategy at these take profit levels. You have now sold at 374, 375, whatever, or excuse me, 475, and you are buying back at 380, our original entry, and below. That's a great trade. That is actualizing a 20% return on the underlying asset. That's awesome. If we keep pumping, you now know an additional level to take some profit at. With 1 day signals, let's look at this range and consider it real quickly. In terms of a stock, yes, that's a pretty heavy, difference in range. I think you're both still in that fair value gap. You should look at both of these as possibilities. You should ask yourself at $384, if it is a long-term hold, but you still want to actualize some of your gains, what percentage of your MicroStrategy are you selling? You can be aggressive. You can say 20%, 30%. That's pretty aggressive with a 70% underlying like long-term hold basis. And you can average out maximizing up to 35% return. Pretty crazy. Now, we bought $1,000 in MicroStrategy, quote unquote. We want to sell 20% of it here, and we want to sell probably or possibly maybe even up to another 20% of it right here. I'm taking profit. If I walk away from this trade and at minimum I walked away with some additional cash, right on. The overall goal though was to compound the money we took off of the table back in at these levels. Now, the ratio to which you take profit and scale back in is up to you. Like I said, I'm more on the risk averse side of things or just cautious nature. So I would take off 20%, up to 20% of my position right here if I'm being aggressive, and an additional 20% of my position if I'm being aggressive. Maybe for you, it's 10% and 10%. Whatever relative ratio based on your holdings that you're willing to take profit on and potentially miss out on some additional gains. That's your risk, is that it keeps pumping forever. But still, you got 80% of your bags or 60% of your original bags. And happily taking profit at these levels, I think would be my recommendation. If you look and see an invalidation level that says $231, you consider that to be your support. And we know that it is mathematically probable to see these numbers as long as we hold that $231 support. We are, as it stands, miles away from both the invalidation and the entry points for those shorts. This is when you can use that 1 day signal for you to either actively stack up some chips if you're looking for a longer term hold, to DCA into your position, but also knowing full well that it is still possible to see down to 230, 235, you can start making, once again, what your plan will be should we have a downtrend. If we have a pullback, if you want more micro strategy, you can take a small percentage of the capital available and put it on a 1 hour. Why a small percentage? Well, Andy, you're saying it's going to 478. No, I'm not. I'm saying that it's still mathematically probable if we hold the support at 231. But I want more micro strategy. I want to average in my position. I'll buy 2%, which is still pretty actively aggressive percent of my capital right here, and average in my entry. Gator, I don't want to put you on the spot again, man, but does this reflect anywhere near what your strategy or plan is for MicroStrategy, or how would you integrate these signals into your own personal strategy?
Yeah, I think what I've learned, Andy, in looking at this stuff is that, and you're making this point really well, it's not, THOR is not a crystal ball. THOR is a mathematical tool to help you execute your own strategy. And so what I've been doing with the signals that I've been getting from MicroStrategy is, as it's dropped recently, buying a little bit more, and then putting a sale price in there between the two top signals so that I can make some profit as I continue to build that interest. So what you're saying is what I'm doing, trying to take profit when it makes sense, buying more when it drops, and using essentially THOR to buy more of the same with the market's money.
Is it not the hardest thing to do, even when you have a signal sitting there, to click both the buy or the sell button? Because the days that it's telling you to buy are the days that it feels really hard to want to buy anything. And the days that you're looking to sell are the same time that sentimentally the markets are telling you it's going to keep pumping. Have you found it difficult to just take the signals as a flat reference, or are you adding some emotion to it? Just curiosity.
Well, I think as you use it more and more, the emotion becomes less and less because you see that you're not really making a 1 day or a 1 minute decision. I kind of like you do the 1 day signals, and they can take a while to play out, and you can see things go the wrong direction while they're playing out. And so I've gotten to the point where if it hits a buy signal, and I've bought stuff on the way down, it's happened. That's always hopefully with some confidence that mathematically there's a high probability that I'll get to turn that position around at some point.
Right.
And nothing's perfect. Doesn't always work.
Yep.
That's part of investing.
Dude, you hit the nail on the head. And I think that that's when your own risk management comes into play. And you're right. Whatever your strategy is, THOR is meant to help your strategy, not dictate it. And that's a big one. You can use THOR in a multitude of different ways, and risk tolerances, profiles, trading styles, all of it. That doesn't change that THOR can help any level of trader. And that's one of the greatest things about it, is that you can integrate these trading signals into any format of trading, any style of trading. Anything that you have a preference for in terms of a trading style, THOR can help you and save you time and take a lot of the guesswork out of it. That's going to get clipped. Boom, as a short. What's up? Thanks, Gator, for the prompt.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So, cool. So, that's another, it does bring up another good point. It is your strategy. It is whatever you want to, we started out saying that we wanted a long-term holding and we want to build our bags of MicroStrategy, and the complete inverse could be the same for that. Maybe you could give an absolute F less about Sailor or MicroStrategy, or you want to short that into the ground. Here's your opportunity. If you're opening up, a perpetual, an option, a call, whatever you're doing, you now know that these are really good places to short the hell out of MicroStrategy. Why? Because you have a 20% up to 35% return on the table. So if that's your, type of cake, man, go ahead, eat it right on. For spot traders looking to compound back in, the same strategy, the same signal applies to both strategies. I'm going to take some profit. I'm going to wait to take some profit. I'm going to potentially buy back. I'm going to buy back, or I'm going to sell again. So it does depend really on where you're coming from. And that's what's cool. The more you use THOR, the easier it gets, and the more you adopt it to your own style. So I said that we were going to look up crowdsource. What was the ticker that we got? I don't think we have signals. Nope, no signals on that. So MicroStrategy was really it for the day. Y'all can see that this is going to get a little boring for y'all after a while, because you're going to come in here and be like, oh, Andy, you've said this. This is the same thing that we do every time. Yep, it is. It's going to keep being the same thing, because it's designed to help people learn how to use the damn tool. And that's all it is. How you integrate it into your own portfolio and strategy, like we just talked about, is going to be up to you. But if you want help in learning how to do so, or starting to form your own strategy, join our Discord. Buy Cyberfrog NFT, which also gives you access to 24/7 free access to some signals, as well as multiple other incentives. And we have an active Discord community over there. That's where you can see all of these trading classes live. That's where you can come in and ask about whatever asset you're trading about, and I'll happily look at it too. And those happen 5 days a week with me. Now they're new, fresh thing, fun. And 2 days a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays, with our other trading teacher, Mode. Also a great trader. So before I go, I have access to my Ultima Whale status signals. Does anyone have a crypto related signal that they want me to look at? I'll do one crypto for the day. So whoever's first, happy to look at whatever's available. Don't worry, I'll wait.
Injective.
All right. Injective. So funny enough, we've been covering Injective a bunch, and what happened is that we really started to fall into our bull thesis plan, and we had our levels of take profit set already, and we've already hit one level of take profit at, I think it was 1093. We took a small amount of profit at that level. Let's go cold call Injective and see what's up right now. Boom. All right. First things first, back on the 1 day, what do I see? It's the same thing we've been talking about. We're still in this long territory right now. The signal has not been invalidated, though we did fall below the entry point. That's common for 1 day signals. They can be really noisy. We are right at the top range of, it's tried to break out once or twice, I think at this point. Right at the top range of this original 1 day signal we took. Cool. That's my North Star. I know what I'm looking at. I've said it a couple times on Injective, is that I'm looking to personally exit all of the under $8 or at like $8-ish Injective that I bought around this $12 signal. I am not looking to take all the way to take profit one on this right now. Personally, that's just me though. And I'm going to be taking my profit at around $12. I think I'm gonna keep 20% of my sub $9 Injective for the take profit one. Totally cool if you're just set it and forget it type, and you want to wait until the $16 or even $20 take profit hits. Right on, cool. Just not what I'm doing. Now, 4 hour, same thing. These were the take profit ranges that we already hit. Bull thesis, take profit one confirmed. Right on. $12 is just another replicated signal, and $8 is likely where invalidation level that we're sort of touching and messing with right now. Until we pass $11.12, we still know that we could go back into that 1 day entry point again. I'm not getting giga bullish yet. Zooming into the 1 hour, which is the highest time frame the shortest time frame we have active on. Again, it's that 1 day signal, and these are the same signals that I had my take profits at. 33%, 33%, 33%. Thesis remains the same. I've already taken profit and had a 20-something% return on my Injective trade right on for at least that amount. And I'm still looking eyes to the sky, ready to take some more profit. Now, if you bought $30 Injective, well, you're sitting here telling me I didn't make any profit, That shit happens. Welcome to trading. You can take your loss at a more responsible level if you want to. or you can hold out and keep waiting to see what happens. But you do know, hey, Mr. $30 injective, oh man, we were supposed to, crypto cycle to end all cycles. You still have a lot of fat ass resistance at $12, 16, 18, and 20. So that's my plan personally on injective. And congrats on anyone who also saw the value in the sub $9 injective signals. You have now hit your first take profit on injective. Right on. Cool. So that's it for injective. I got one more in me. I know I said one, but if no one has anything else, it's cool too, and I'll wind it down. All right. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and gone. Thanks for joining, everybody. It's Andy from Tap FinTech and CyberFrogs. I appreciate y'all watching our video. If you want to learn more, please visit us at taptrade.io. If you want to find active signals, do taptrade.io/Thor and get into our Ask Thor system. If you need to learn how to use it, we have educational videos walking you through how to navigate timeframes, signals, how to ask Thor about NASDAQ, stocks, anything on the crypto side or any SPL token, as well as Forex signals. Hope you had a good time. Talk to y'all later.